Hi.
Hi.
Great to see you again. So, how have you been?
Pretty good.
Good. Now, it's been a while since I've seen you. Is everything going all right?
Everything's been going pretty well. There hasn't been much change in any of the things we talked about since last time. I've been still looking for employment with no real luck, but things aren't the worst they've been.
Well,
Okay.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
How's the fam?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. Good. So, so the way things work here is that based on your intake, we are tasked with formulating a service plan based on what you told me and based on those goals that you set out in our previous interviews. One of the things that we went over with were the fact that you want to go back to school, and you say you want to get a degree in a master's degree in psychology. You said you already have a bachelor's, and you would like to save up money before going to get that master's. You also said that you want to work in a more clinical-based setting on your previous experience, because you say it's hard to find places that would hire bachelor students. So we need to frame these goals in a way that would make sense to you. Then we'll come up with need statements, specific goals and objectives, the action steps that you would take to get there, how these action steps will be measured, and the time frame that we want to complete it in. All right. So your name is Mary. A-I-E-L-L.
A-I-E-L-L, yeah.
Awesome. All right. First things first. So, currently, one of the problems is that you do not have a job at the moment.
Yeah.
That's
probably the main one.
And another goal would be getting your master's, so a long-term goal.
Yeah.
To obtain a master's degree. And just so you know that all this stuff that I'm putting on here, you'll be able to review, and I'll email you or send you later a copy of the service plan.
All right.
Awesome. So, let's imagine you have a job. What would you get out of it?
Well, obviously it'd be a lot more financial stability with that.
And so you would say that you have a need for financial stability?
Yeah.
And anything else that you can think of that you would get out of a new job?
I think it's also just, I like to work. So I think it's also an enjoyment thing, and I like being able to help people. So I'm not sure if that's on the same tier as that, but...
All right. And so what is your goal in terms of the job?
Ideally, I would like to be in a clinical position where I could probably work with children, maybe in a school setting or outside of that.
So ideally, you would like to be working with kids in a clinical school or institutional setting. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Mhm.
Any other goals of this job
Um,
you can think of?
Not that I can think of right now. I think that's the main one.
All right. Okay, we can work with that.
Okay.
All right. So what are some steps that you think you could take to get there?
I think obviously getting my master's, so it'll be a lot easier for me to branch out into places like that.
Mhm.
But also kind of looking for network opportunities to meet more people to get
Mhm.
kind of my name out there, if that makes any sense.
All right.
So people know that I'm looking, if there's a position that I could possibly fill with what I have now, that'd be really cool.
All right. So what do you have in terms of like resumes, cover letters, training on making yourself marketable?
I do have my bachelor's in psychology,
Mhm.
and I've done internships before, specifically revolving around child psych. But regarding like an actual resume, I don't have that with me.
Okay.
I just more have stuff like that to talk about.
All right. So I think one of the first steps in order to start that networking is to put all the stuff that you have, which I know is a lot, into a succinct document, one page,
Yeah.
where we can come up with your strengths and weaknesses and experiences, education, work experience, all that. Okay? So I'm gonna put that as your first step, okay?
All right.
So draft a, and then you also said networking. So with that,
Yeah.
network, I know that we have a ton of different fairs that our agency offers throughout the year that you could attend and look at all the different agencies that may have working with kids in a clinical setting. Do you know of any people that can attest to your ability to work with kids?
Mainly professors who I've had that,
Mhm.
and like people I've worked under with the internships. So I think I definitely would. I would just need to contact them.
All right, that'd be awesome. And when you contact them, ask them if I need you as a reference for one of my jobs while I'll be working with children, would you be able to help me with that and frame it to the point where you want to engage with them, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So reach out to Francis. All right. And then I think with those 3 steps, you'd be in the position where you could start applying and eventually be able to find that job, okay? And finally, obtain a job. All right, and so now we need to come up with a way that that this can be measured. So, in other words, if we're looking back on the steps that we've outlined, how can we measure the difference between before you did that step and after? So can you think of any ways that we can measure it, like tallies or like what specific things that we look at?
Um,
Am I making sense?
yeah. I just need to like put it in terms for myself. You're fine.
Okay.
So kind of like what points do I want to look at and be like, okay, I've done good up to this point, and then this is my next roadblock, and then this is like kind of like that.
Right.
Okay.
And instead of thinking prospectively, like what's the next step? Look at where you are now, and then compare it to where you were in the past. So say for now, like, I don't have any resume.
Yeah.
So now I have a resume. That will be measured. I have a resume now, I didn't before. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Or,
Okay.
or in terms of networking, how many network fairs have you gone to? How many agencies do you give your name to? And putting that into a number so that now I have 5, 6, 7 agencies that I've given my information to.
Okay.
And I think each of these steps can be measured in that quantitative way.
Okay. So then, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the first step would be resume.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I think networking is really important. So I'd at least like to do maybe like 4 to 5 agencies. Is that like a doable number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So as of now, it doesn't have to be a concrete number.
Okay.
It's just thinking ahead on how we
Yeah,
are going to measure it. So it's great that you have a goal of 4 to 5. I mean, that's good. So I think the best way to do this is taking a look at your resume and building that, and I think the way that we'll measure that is very qualitative and looking at what's there, what's great, and what's not there. And I mean, we'll look at the different components of a resume and how it would look. And then the rest of it, networking, reaching out to references, all that is all quantitative. Okay?
Okay.
All right. And last but not least, the anticipated time frame.
I think like for end goal, like job as end goal for this, or each individual step.
I think the end goal,
Okay.
which is obtaining a job.
With considering I'm gonna have to work with my master's too, I'd like to try and do something within the next like year and a half, 2 years.
All right. So long term with masters.
Yeah.
Is a year and a half.
Or at least like a starting job, you know, because I know that's not long enough to actually go into the field I want, but somewhere.
Right. Okay, so with your master's, you would like that job to be, you'd like to be working in a year and a half. So
Yeah.
all right. All right. So now the next goal, I think, is a big goal, but it's doable, very realistic. So the problem is that you only have a bachelor's. I mean, which is great. I mean, if I had a bachelor's and master's, that'd be awesome. Not many people do, and I think that's a strength. But I think to frame it as a problem with the goal that you have in mind of working in a clinical setting, I think we need to focus on that as a problem. So, what would you say your need is in terms of a master's degree?
I think I need it for experience and to reach my end goal, which ties into, I think, being happy and fulfilled. If that adds, yeah.
Alrighty. So you said you need for the education to give you the experience to make you feel happy and fulfilled, right? All right. Any other needs through the education? I mean, I think that's a good one that encompasses a lot.
I think that's like the umbrella one,
Mhm.
and I think anything else would fall under that.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure as of right now.
Okay, we can focus on that one then. And what would you say your goal is?
Get the degree, graduate.
Obtain a degree, right?
Yeah.
And anything else in terms of getting the master's? I mean, I know master's in psychology, there's a lot of opportunities, and a master's in psychology can look different depending on who you are.
Yeah.
And so I guess when I ask you what your goal is, do you want that master's to be in some sort of a school setting, or do you want to do that kind of thing, or do you want to do more research based? Do you want to and like, what is your goal academically too?
I think research is absolutely something I'd like to try, but I think it's more that I want to learn as much as I can. So it's more like I'm very open to any opportunity I could be offered.
All right. Perfect. So you want to obtain the degree and learn as much as possible during that
Yeah.
time, okay? Is that good?
Mhm.
All right, so let's hash this out. All right. First thing you have to do.
Find a school and get into it.
All right.
Is that
Find a school,
Yeah.
apply, and get accepted. Perfect. Good? Now,
Yeah.
step 2. Is that good?
Yeah.
So find, apply, and get accepted in
Yeah.
school. Am I
Uh,
missing something?
no.
Alright. Step 2. Now, what do you think is the
Yeah.
biggest barrier that's separating you from getting a master's?
I know a lot of it has to do with money and being able to take care of my brother at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how can we best approach those things? Yeah, that's tough.
I feel like part of it goes into the finding a school, because I was thinking of trying to do something like local so I could commute and still take care of him, but I'm not entirely sure how to go about that, if that's a different step altogether.
Right. I think that there's a lot of different ways to go about the former issue, which is the finance part of it.
Mhm.
And I think that I know many schools offer different financial aid programs, and they do a lot of they give out a lot of loans. I mean, you can go for the government loans. I mean, there's a ton out there, and I think that what you're gonna have to do is, when you have the time, is to go online and research different scholarships, financial aid, and loans that are out there for you.
Yeah.
So is that a good?
Yeah.
So maybe research different I mean, I think you have a lot of great experience, and I think a lot of this financial aid and scholarships that are out there are going to be in your favor.
Okay.
And then you're talking a lot about your brother and how you would want to commute. Is that the best course that you think? Do you think that's the best course for you?
I'm not really sure, but I think as of right now
As
it
of
is.
right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That may change, but I don't know about that yet.
okay. Well, we can write it down in pencil, and then as time goes on, we can figure it out. I know last time that you were talking how Paul was, your brother Paul was you used a different word. He was kind of hindering on your ability to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
Am I saying that right?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that, I know we mentioned this last meeting, that your goal is to maybe have a little bit more support with Paul?
Yeah. From more of my family. Just because it's mainly on me, even though they do help.
That'd be awesome. Do you think that any form of respite care or public support with Paul would be helpful, or
Absolutely, I think so, yeah.
Because I'm sure that once you're engulfed in all the responsibilities of being a student, I think it's gonna come at odds with the way you deal with Paul, because you're a great sister, I can tell. You do so much for him, but I don't want you to suffer because of that. So I think that step to find respite care will help you in the long run, getting your master's. Okay. I mean, as long as you're okay with it.
Oh yeah.
So, possibly commute. The fourth step was to find respite care for your brother. And then, any other steps before getting your master's?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. Alright. And I know one of your goals was to learn as much as you can, so I think a good step is to look at the different courses they offer there through their psychology program.
Yeah.
And maybe just start thinking of, that'd be interesting, or different classes that you could take, because I know that that's a good goal to have, because I myself love to learn a lot about different things. So I think that's a very commendable goal, and I think we should make an action step out of that, okay?
Okay.
So look at different courses and course catalogs. And I think those are good steps, and they're realistic, they're measurable, they're smart, they're good goals. Good job.
Thank you.
And how will these be measured? We can look at this from a broad perspective. We'll focus on each of the steps.
I think at least for a starter, get accepted to at least maybe more than 2 schools that are local.
Right. So get accepted to 2 schools as your goal. Now, if we reframe it as how it would be measured, we'll measure it in the number of schools.
Yeah.
That you get accepted to.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be different than the number of schools you're applying to.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the next step was to research different scholarships and financial aid and all that. So I think maybe next meeting, if you come up with a list of different opportunities that you have in terms of scholarships and financial aid and all that kind of stuff, I think that would be very helpful.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I know that one of the action steps we had was to commute. Um, and I think to go along with that step, I think we need to find out how that would happen, because I know you said you could drive, but you didn't have a car.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you would take public transportation, or if you want to find means to get a car, or.
Yeah, I think for now public transportation, but I think another long-term thing would be try to get, or at least borrow a car consistently.
Okay. Alright, so we'll just put commute publicly for now. Alright. And I think that the way that we can measure this is to know the different routes to the school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the fourth step was to find a respite care for Paul.
Yeah.
What do you think the best way to do that is? I have to measure that.
I think kind of similar to the one in before, to see how many people I can find that offer it, I guess.
Right. And I think these are good preliminary steps to making the decision, because this is more about finding the opportunities, looking at what there is, then coming back, delivering it, and then making the decision from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
All right. And I think the last step to satisfy your previous goal to learn as much as you can would be the same, just looking at the different, and just numbering that. Look at all these different courses, how many different courses are there, and I'm sure that'll aid in your decision-making process of your school too.
Yeah.
All right. So, time frame. When would you like your master's by?
If I could do it in the next 3 years. I guess kind of as soon as possible, within reason.
Okay. I think 3 years is a good goal, and I think that's a good long-term goal, and if we can get it sooner, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I think coming up, maybe even a date as well. So it's April 2018. We got apply over the summer, get into school by September. So 3 plus 1, 2022.
About.
Seems like a long way from now. Let's see. May of 2022. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna reiterate some things, just to make sure that we're both on the same page. So your 2 current problems being that you don't have a job, and you don't have a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll go with the first one. You said you need financial stability, you need for something that you like to do, and you ideally would like to be working with children in a clinical school setting. And to get that, draft a resume, network, reach out to references, apply, start looking, and obtain a job. Good?
Yep.
And then, and you want this done within a year and a half. Okay? And then for the other one, to obtain your master's, you want, there's a need for education to give you experience to make you feel happy and fulfilled. Correct?
Yeah.
And then you would like to obtain a degree in psychology, and you want to learn as much as you possibly can through that experience of getting that degree. So step 1, find, apply, get accepted. Step 2, research different scholarships, financial aid. loans to help you out with the absurd expenses of
Mhm.
college. And step 3, commute publicly. 4, find respite care for your brother. 5, look at different courses and course catalogs. And then finally, you want this done by May 2022. It seems like forever, but it'll go by fast. How do they sound?
Good.
Good? Alright. Well, I think all I'm going to have you do is sign here and... Wait, where's this client? You can...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Today's April 16th.
Yeah.
Alright, and I'm going to sign here too. And then I'll make a copy of this in the room over there, and then we'll be all set. Thank you.